SOFI update here on the 27th. So what is going on right here? So the more that this goes on with the chop back and forth, whenever that happens, you can generally look at it, and a lot of times it's a triangle. So the overall pattern right here is lower low, lower high. We're looking for another lower high. We have a gap fill right here. There's another gap fill right here. And we're looking for that last lower low probably sometime later this year or in early 2025. So now that we got that out of the way, we never filled this gap at 850. So what could this be? Well, let's draw a parallel line from here and from here. And what does it look like to you? It looks like a rising wedge to me. So if this is a rising wedge, I would look at it like this. Into the election. So it's gotten to the point where I've looked at a bunch of different stocks. All of them look like they should have already corrected, or they're getting ready to correct. And they've all hit my targets like today pretty much. But I'm not sure if they're going to tank the market into the election just because political motivations prop the market up. The Democrats don't want anything under their watch. They don't want a big market correction going into the election. That would be a negative headline going into the election. So you got to add that in there. There could be manipulation into the election, and I think it's very possible at this point. I thought the market was going to correct by like a week ago. I thought it was going to start correcting. You also got to think about quarterly, end of quarter though. So end of quarter, they like to prop the market up too. For hedge funds, being able to pad their stats, make them look good. So you got that going on. So we're going to see next week what happens, but I think it's very likely that this pattern plays out. We have a gap fill down here at 750, and so it would basically be a rising wedge. We'd come down here into early October, maybe by the 9th, and then we would rise into earnings, which are on the 29th, if I'm not mistaken. So I'd be looking for about 880 by earnings. And unfortunately, though, that would be the top, regardless of what the earnings are. If the earnings are really, really good, they would just say it's priced in. That's what then the narrative would be. They've already priced it in. So this would look like that. Because if I look at all the stocks and the indexes, IWM still is not broken above this high right here. And I said in previous videos, we're looking at something like this. Or we're looking at something like this, which would be even worse. There's gap fills down here. So if this happens, SOFI is going to go to 550. Whether you think it's not going to happen or not, it's going to go to 550 if IWM comes down here to 180. That's a 20% drop on an index. SOFI would make it down to 550 for sure. So I do think that it's very likely they prop this up into the election. But I think they might do like a small dip into October and then run it into the end of October into our earnings. And then I wouldn't expect much after that. I would expect probably a sell-off after that. It does not look like a 5-wave move to me at all. You can see here, if it was a 5-wave move, we would have gone like this. Could it be a nested move like this? Give that very slim chance, just because the market is not going to allow this to happen, I don't think. And again, that would still make this whole thing A, B, C. And we'd come down later then if that happens. So I give this very little chances of happening. It looks like a rising wedge to me. You have a lot of resistance here at 850 and then 950 as well. And the pattern is staying intact. You have lower highs and you have lower lows. So lower low, another lower low. So 3 up here, and then there's going to be 3 down here. If I were to guess when that would happen by, I would say it'd probably be about the same time length as this one down here. That took about 2 months. So if we finish this at the end of October, I would say potentially into January, which is ironically when this parallel line down here crosses when this parallel line down here in sometime in January. So I know that doesn't go along with normal seasonality, but also the market's been rising in September. This is usually the worst month for the stock market. So everything's all messed up because of the election. And so we're probably going to get a dip after the election if they hold it up all the way. I just can't imagine it going up all the way through the end of the year. So that's my take on SOFI for right now. Let's see what happens. I'll keep you updated. I would say short term that I'm looking for this gap fill at 750 and then rise into earnings.